But what is any of it about? Liam stuff I ignore. What's this?
Warning, alert from UK Border Force.
Is he asleep?
New UK EU border alert as of Sunday. The new systems kick into effect this weekend. All UK passport holders entering the Schengen zone, France, Spain, Italy, Germany, etc. must now register fingerprints and a facial photo on arrival. Expect delays between 2 and 4 hours at all ports, airports, Eurotunnel as systems go live. What's collected? Passport scan, fingerprints, live photos stored for future use. Long term, this will be quicker. Short term, you've got to allow 4 hours. Here's the advice: arrive at least 3 to 4 hours early for ferry or Eurotunnel departures, as you will miss your slot. Carry valid travel documents, passport, ticket, proof of accommodation. Be patient. Once registered, your next crossing will be faster. Warning: expect 4 hours delay this weekend. Please do not discard this warning, especially if you're going to Spain. You're likely to miss your flight.
Quiet warning. Alan's quiet warning. Where did that come from? Why is he talking like this? He's hiding in a wardrobe. He's hiding in the wardrobe. He's not going on holiday. Why does this matter? Who's he talking to? Why is he making this TikTok? It's supposed to be anti-EU, isn't it, really? It's supposed to be like, oh, look at this stupid EU. We wouldn't have it if it wasn't for breakfast, you fucking knob. Breakfast, Brexit. Like, it always goes back to Brexit, doesn't it, with these people? It's always the Brexit people who are complaining the most about the effects of Brexit. That's what's weird about it. Like, most of us Remainers just tried to move on. We comment about, we point it out every now and then when everything's like, in our faces. Well, this is because of Brexit. But like, Alan's a Brexiteer, so he shouldn't be complaining about this. This is what he wanted. Whispering into a cup from a cupboard. I mean, that was a good one. I like that one. It's a shame it was only a minute. We'll keep going what we'll do is I'll just keep going until they turn bad, and we'll see how it goes.
Here's a video I didn't want to do. Kate's boarding ticket to fly home on the 12th, in my opinion, is, what's the word to use? Fake. So when does she really leave? Let me tell you about it. The 9:30 boarding...
Right, obviously that's bad. I don't know anything about it, and I don't care, and it's the Liam stuff, isn't it? So there we go. First one. But let's try and find them that are not about that. Oh my God. What's this? Think pink for the victims today. We wear pink in honour of every girl and boy whose voice was stolen by grooming. All the flowers. But Alan, you were on Smule grooming kids. And this is one of these videos. You see the pink hue to it. It's a video that he was recorded off his video. Like, he records off a screen. So it's not his video, is it? It's someone else's. So that's that. Oh, good one, Alan. That's weird. Next.
I study.
No.
So as we go a year into...
on the anniversary.
For fuck's sake.
Guys, game changer. We read the messages from the two boys charged with the death of Liam. First of all, let's get through Brian. Brian here says, I didn't sell drugs to Liam. I never...
Note that these videos that he's doing about Liam are not getting the views that they used to. That one got 49k actually, but everything else is shit. Like, he's been really pumping it hard, but he's been getting shit numbers and he knows it. Like,
and the point is,
what the fuck is this? It's a cut from a TikTok live. He's doing lives and we're not seeing them. They just disappear. He's doing lives and we're not seeing them. They just disappear. Is he supposed to be on the streets of Pride de Luz with Madeleine McCann? Is that what he's trying to do?
The laptop.
What's this fucking background?
For God's sake, open the devices. Because on that laptop is a lot of information I'm going to tell you about now.
But there's a lot on his. This is all about Liam stuff, isn't it? And here's a racist one.
At last, our police and politicians have admitted we have now become a third world nation.
Right, our police and politicians haven't admitted that we've become a third world nation. That hasn't happened.
This is the day when Britain lost its nerve. Aston Villa, a Premier League football club, has banned Israeli fans from
They're hooligans.
their stadium. This is a national embarrassment. We can't look after a few hundred away supporters in one of the most CCTV cities.
He's arguing in favour of importing the football hooligans so they can come and have a big fight in Birmingham for the big football game. Because if you look at their track record of having big fights, they do it all over the place. It's a hooligans issue.
In the world, most heavily policed cities in the world, the most multi-cultured cities in the world, we can't look after a few fans to come to a football stadium.
No, they're violent criminals, so we don't want them coming to the football stadium. What's this got to do with us being a third world country?
Because of sectarianism.
Sectarianism.
Because of sectarianism.
Sectarianism. Sectarianism.
Because of sectarianism.
Sectarianist violence.
Stadium.
He says, with the fucking British flag spray painted on a mural of people in a third world country. Like, what the fuck? You know, hello. What's that? What sort of symbolism is that? Oh my God. Alan does things sometimes, and I swear he wants to get murdered by political activists. I swear that's how he'd like to go out. Because he does things, and I just think this is incredibly provocative to the wrong person.
We can't look after a few fans to come to a football stadium because of sectarianism. Because they happen to be Israelis, right?
Because they happen to be Jewish. What is it now? Are we too racist? We don't let the Jews in. That's the... Alan's a Zionist. Oh, he's paid in full on this one. What the fuck is this? Is it because Tony Robertson's a Zionist as well? He's following him in. They did, didn't they? They had a big violence a few days later. Yeah, they're known for it. Like, it wasn't because they're Jewish. It wasn't because of Israel Palestine. Although there was the reason, like there was a political movement to try and prevent Israel from competing in World Cup events, wasn't there? But it was because they're fucking just hooligans. They'd like come and trash the place. They've got to be policed. They're all known. But this is just insane. Like, Alan's turned it into a political thing where he's used the word I can't say it now. Sectarian, which has obviously got connotations with the Irish thing. And that mural, like I said, they would paint murals on the walls on the back ends of walls in Belfast, and they do it in Ireland as well, don't they? Like, about the Troubles, and he's sat in front of one that he's made himself on AI that's got African kids in it, which is weird. But he looks like a violent political activist. And he's talking about like violent political things. So it's almost like a threat video, isn't it? It's almost like saying, come and fucking have it, you fucking, do you know what I mean? Like he's one. It's like if he was on the other side of a different political thing. This is almost like sitting in front of a Daesh flag and doing a thing about, like, you know what I mean? It's like it's so heavily, aggressively political. It almost looks like he's joined a fucking paramilitary organisation. Oh my God, Alan. TikTok's about people having dance. Oh, I love the TikTok dances. The girls, the ladies, you know, the Chinese ladies. The girls, the ladies, and Chinese ladies. The Chinese ladies. Yeah. You know, I love it. And people like Alan doing sectarian, violent, rousing, confused speeches about football hooliganism and promoting Zionist aggression in the UK. I just think it's a weird move. He doesn't know what he's doing, does he, all the time, old Alan?
Because of sectarianism. Because they happen to be Israelis, right? How's this going to reflect on the rest of the country's Israelis? Jews. The headlines say it all. Israeli fans banned from Aston Villa games. Pathetic.
Is he reading Zionist propaganda from the internet or something?
National disgrace.
That needs to be a button. You're right. Oh God, I'm not doing it. I should do it right now because otherwise they don't get done, do they? But you're right. It does need to be a button. I should update all my buttons. I should update them all. I should just do a new set of, because I can just put all these buttons in a folder and just move them away and then just, you know, put any buttons on. Someone in the comments has put Aston Villa have done no such thing, so I don't know what he's going to say about Aston Villa.
Villa confirmed today that no Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters will be allowed to attend the match in the Europa League at Villa Park. And the reason? Wait for it. We cannot guarantee their safety. Well, if they can't guarantee the safety of a couple hundred supporters, imagine if a team signed an Israeli footballer. What would we get outside of a premise? Supposing Chelsea signed an Israeli international. Would we have pro-Palestine outside? Thousands of fans going, get rid us. We're going to get. We're done. We've succeeded. We've been overtaken. It's not our country anymore. Let's just admit it. Mr. Khan knows it. Mr. Starmer knows it. This isn't our country anymore. Because they can't impose anything on us now. Easily. Because there's so many of them could take to the streets. If those fans came in Birmingham, where there's a huge sectarian population of a certain religion, can you imagine what would happen to those fans as they're walking through the streets? This isn't security, it's surrender. It's surrender to the mob, to the mentality of appeasement. It's appeasement. Appeasement has taken us here. The same way as no...
So Birmingham's got a Jewish quarter. It's got like a load of Jewish people living in it. And nobody taxed them or anything. They got all mosques and stuff. Like, I suppose, you know, somebody did check a mosque the other day, but not in Birmingham. It's absolute tosh what he's talking, isn't it? They weren't allowed to come because they were football hooligans. It wasn't like a political thing about Palestine, and like we haven't been overrun. And like Muslim people play football, and so do Jewish people, and no one's going to like if Chelsea signed wasn't Roman Abramovich the owner of Chelsea? I don't know if he's Jewish, actually. Anyway, it's just... isn't Tottenham... Wait. Tottenham's nickname, the football club, if the nickname... It might not... I don't care if it's supposed to be racist or not. It's their fucking nickname, if you know football. Like, not in a racist bad way. They call it themselves. It's the Yids. Nobody's angry about Jewish people in football because of Muslims. The reason they couldn't guarantee their safety is because they'd all kick off and have a fight everywhere, and then everyone would fight back with them, and they're hooligans. And Alan thinks it's because the Muslims have taken over the country and they won't let the Jews come and play football.
Surrender took Mr. Chamberlain.
No, wait, when he said about there's too many of them there over on the streets, that's all us normal people. It's fuckheads like you that we don't want. We're taking our country back from all the idiot racists who seem to think they've got I had a sticker on myself the whole time. Who seems to think they're the could have been from that event. Look, could have been from that event. Who seems to think that they're the most. If they seem to think they own the country, well, they don't. So sorry.
To appeasement of Hitler. Unbelievable. We used to pride ourselves on order, fairness, the ability to separate politics from sport. This decision rips it all up. I don't know what to say. It tells us that the UK can no longer ensure the basic principle of equality on our own soil. That intimidation of one group can dictate who gets to watch a football match because of the pressure groups in our streets.
It sounds like Jewish propaganda. Zionist propaganda, sorry. It's fucking weird that he should be saying it. Like, he's got a problem with racism against Jewish people, is what he's saying, isn't it? And that there should be no politics in sport. This is not even his words, so I'm critiquing someone else's words who might have a brain. But there is politics in sport. I mean, just ask the Russian Federation, or whatever they're called now, when they try and compete.
Especially Birmingham and London and Bradford.
Especially.
It doesn't matter that who's in charge, because they're in charge now. They've taken over the councils, the mayors, the social housing, the districts.
Reform have taken over councils and they fucked that up.
It's not our country anymore. It's not about supporting one side or the other. It's about the idea that ordinary people travelling to support their team from another country that is a democracy should be treated with the same respect as anyone else.
You're right, Alan goes with the money, yeah? I mean, a little while ago he started doing this racist stuff when things were pretty rocky with him with the true crime. And I truly believe he was in the Vinnie's bar talking to some racist arseholes, and they said, you should do videos about racism. I'd sign up to your Patreon. And he got somebody, I think he's got one, maybe two people who are heavily racist and give him money to do this sort of stuff, promote it in his Patreon, And if you're thinking about it, how much money do you need to give a man like Alan Vinegar? If you want to, it might be a wise investment for some shit racist to get someone like Alan, going on about racism on his platform. You've just bought the Armchair Detective for £6 a month. Do you know what I mean? And he keeps doing it because for Alan, it's like that thing where if he's got one person on a hook, he'll fucking drain them. So he'll keep doing them a racist video he used to do a Nicole Kessinger video for Nancy every 6 weeks. Every 6 minutes. So he's going to keep, he's got someone I think that pays up for this in the Patreon.
Because we have countries now that don't have a democracy that have their own rules, and we're starting to obey their rules. When we start excluding supporters because of their nationality or religion, we stop being a free country in any meaningful sense. Imagine if you said we're going to ban all Muslims from a football ground. Can you imagine?
Isn't that basically what you're going on about, you fucking knob? What do you want to do? You want to get them all out there, not just out the football ground, but out the whole country. What are you going on about, Alan? do you not realise how ridiculous what you're saying sounds because of what you're saying?
UEFA's rules require host clubs to provide a safe access for visiting fans. Instead, Aston Villa and the authorities have chosen the easy route. Close the gates and call it a precaution.
I've never seen anything more narcissistic in my life than a man misreading a football team's name into his own.
The easy route. Aston Villa. Instead, Aston Villa. Instead, Aston Villa.
That should be a button as well.
Instead, Aston Villa. Instead, Aston Villa.
Why would it be your name? Alan, why would it be your name in this propaganda Jewish article, Zionist, not just Jewish, a Zionist article? Like, why would it be your name? Why would it be your name? Like, every time I go over people at the moment, like when I look at Eddie or when I look at Peter Folding, who's in this camp now, and when I look at Alan, like, they just, I think to myself, how have I got here with you fucking, like you dummies? Like, what are you doing, Alan? You're reading an article about Aston Villa, and you see the words Aston Villa, and dyslexic, isn't he? Yeah, no, he's not. I don't believe that. I think you need a diagnosis for that. But he says, Alan Vinicum.
Instead, Alan Aston Villa.
Why would they have your name in the article?
Instead, Alan Aston Villa, and the authorities have chosen the easy route.
It's
close the gate.
It can't be the Daily Mail, can it? Because it's far too Zionist. Like or maybe it is the Daily Mail, and without the heading of the Daily Mail and the formatting, you hear it for what it is. But it's so pro-Jewish, not Jewish. I keep saying Jewish, like but Zionist Jewish, like that sort of nationalist Jewish thing, isn't it? It's so pro that agenda, anti this agenda, and it's over a subject that we know is not really about that agenda. Like, it just happens to involve Jewish people. That's the ultimate racism, is to not understand a subject could have any other nuance other than they're Jews. So it must be about the Jews and the Muslims. Like, they're football fans and they've been banned. It's not about them being Jewish football fans, it's about them being football fans. And that's, they're seen with the eyes of, it's not two-tier, because they're like, because you're guilty doesn't make you two-tier. Like, but this weird idea that, and the weird idea, like Alan's put forward here, is that pro-Palestinian people who would protest for Palestine, would also be the same sort of people that would enact violence on Jews. But like, there's Jews all over the country, and yes, anti-Semitism has been an issue. Yeah, but I think some of these bad people on Alan's team are actually anti-Semitic as well. But yeah, the in the main, those people are all like really peaceful, aren't they? It's like peaceful protests, and they're not going around like burning down synagogues. Whereas on the other side of the thing, they're going around setting fire to hotels with immigrants in, aren't they? So like it's this weird scaremongering that the Jews are going to be murdered by all the pro-Palestinian people who are actually quite normal people. So it's like really weird, yeah.
You can call it a precaution, but the precaution without principles is cowardice dressed up as care. They're cowards. For decades, British football led the world in fan management, equality campaigns and fair play, Black Lives Matter, all these things, taking the knee, all these things. They take the knee for black footballers, yet they just ban Israeli fans just like that. Because they're scared. They're scared of the protest on the street, because we don't own our streets anymore. The police don't own our streets. The police are scared of them, because there's too many of them. And we don't want a riot, do we? So, entering people from... there should be no end to the game, right? If we can't guarantee the safety of a few hundred people, what exactly can we guarantee?
What's the name of the team again? I'll just quickly look it up on YouTube and get a video of them smashing the place up with them. Was it in Manchester just recently? Because it will go Maccabi Tel Aviv, isn't it? Maccabi Tel Aviv. Well, here's just the first one I've found anyway.
Just want to bring you some breaking news from Tel Aviv now. And a derby match between the city's rival soccer teams, Hapoel Tel Aviv and Maccabi Tel Aviv, has been cancelled after riots broke out in and around the stadium. The match was set to take place tonight in the city's Bloomfield Stadium when fans began to riot. In a statement on X, Maccabi Tel Aviv FC said following the police's decision, it was determined that the Tel Aviv derby will not take place tonight. So that the very latest news out of Tel Aviv itself on that match between city rivals Hapoel Tel Aviv and Maccabi Tel Aviv being cancelled this evening. Just want to bring you some breaking news from Tel Aviv now, and a derby match between the city's rival.
It's weird, isn't it? Can't see why you wouldn't want to let them in. And that was all of them pro and way, wasn't it? That was fans, and that was that was in house. That was all in Israel. That was both Tel Aviv teams there. So you can't say it was the Arabs or the Muslims. Poor Alan.
This is Villa Park. At the bottom is the Free Palestine, River to the Sea crowd that go through London every weekend and other towns. They don't know who they're taking on. They're going to turn up at Villa Park on the day that Villa play Tel Aviv, right? They're going to be there outside. They're going into the Lions' Den. This is where the football lads live and have their weekly release from the pressures of life. They're there in their 30, 40,000 of them, maybe more. And these protesters, are they going to turn up with their little old ladies and their woke people going, free Palestine? Or are they going to bring the heavy mob from Birmingham? The Birmingham...
Oosh.
I don't know.
Alan, do you have any idea? I do. I tell you now, the Aston Villa supporters don't live in Aston. They fucking don't live in Aston. If you're going to turn up to Aston, you are going to need the heavy mob. On the day of the football, you'll be all right up by the football ground. If you're going to go and hang around in Aston, if you take the heavy mob, you better be prepared for them to fucking have to, step to it, because everyone's going to check you because you've got a heavy mob. You're best trying to go under the radar. You're not going to, because you'll be in Aston and someone will check you and then you'll be in trouble. It's a bit rough. It's one of those tough areas of Birmingham where they have all the crime. And I don't know. To be honest, a lot of those people would be more sympathetic with Palestine than Israel, I think. Anyway. So does he not understand anything? And the heavy mob from Birmingham, the Birmingham, the gangsters from Birmingham, yeah, they're up with Birmingham, aren't they? There's another team in Birmingham, the football club, Birmingham. So the heavy mob are the Birmingham ones, aren't they? Aston Villa doesn't have the big heavy mob football supporters. They're Birmingham ones.
Maybe the hardcore or the...
We'll watch a bit of the documentary actually in a second. I'd like to do that. That'd be fun.
Radical few, which could be the radical 50,000. Birmingham has been taken over by a certain society. I don't know if you know that. The mayor,
Irish.
The councils, the MPs.
It's the Irish, Alan. Birmingham was taken over by the Irish. I'm a product of it. You got a problem with it, Alan? Immigration. You got a problem with it?
They're only interested in Gaza, right? So you've got basically the population of Birmingham versus the population of Birmingham now. The old population of Birmingham versus the new population of Birmingham are heading for a catastrophe on the night. I mean...
We still rolling? My screen's frozen. Or I just... Oh, no, yeah, sorry, my screen froze. Sorry.
I was there in the 1980s when it was dangerous. This is not the place to bring children and women on that night.
It's fine to take women and children to an Aston Villa football game, even if there are Palestinian protesters outside. The protesters will be peaceful and the game will be well policed. It's fine to take people to a football game. What's he trying to imply?
Don't go. I know it's a sad thing to say, but it's a tinderbox, right? I want to tell you this now, because even if the
Tinder
supporters of Tel Aviv are banned, which they are at the moment, it stays like, it won't matter. It won't matter, just like the ceasefire in Gaza didn't stop the protest.
The ceasefire in Gaza didn't stop children being shot in the head by snipers and buses being hit by missiles. It was Israel that was doing that, Alan, and that is why those people want to protest if football teams from Israel come to England and play.
Banning the fans won't stop this because the football team's coming. And they will protest.
Your ancestors and mine too. But listen, like, I'm not pro or against any like, you know, it's the history. It's like what happened. But like, they did invade. They're bad immigrants. And you in America, you're all invaded. You're all the invaders. You're the bad invaders. We're the bad people. I don't know which way around I want to look at it. I'm always on the wrong side of it. No, I'm joking. Obviously, in case anyone thinks I'm being serious, because yeah, like I'll tell you what's really interesting about history and stuff is all these different stories. You can maybe take pride in some of the stories from history, but you know, if you want to take the pride in it and the proud moments, maybe you should also take, like, you know, some of the shame as well, because I'm sure all of our ancestors did all different things, and we've all got different, like, you know, positive and negative stories, and like none of us were there in history, were we? Like, this is something I always find so weird about it, is, especially with all this nationalism and like all this, you know, pride and all that. You can be proud about the future by creating it, but like being proud about the past and saying, like, you know, Britain's the best country because we did this in this war or something, and like that's just a very narrow thing that we did. Like one thing that we, not me, but like people in the past did, and I didn't do it, so why should I get the credit? And also, why should I get told off if they did something bad? Like, I don't think I should take any of that. So I do appreciate, you know, I know everyone here is, you know, understands what I'm saying, but like, it's just so weird to me that people have this sort of strong sense of like somebody else did something and I didn't do it at all, but I'm going to take complete responsibility. It's mine. I did it. I'm, you know, it's one of mine, my fault, you know. But like, yeah, well, I don't, you know. I've had lots of different conversations with people about, like, you know, being British and then being, like, you know, different places in the world. Not everyone sees Britain as positively as the British do, especially if their country's been oppressed by them. So, like, you hear different perspectives and stuff, and I just always think, like, you know, I didn't do any of this, so I'm just a new person in the modern world, so I'm happy with my place.
Against the fixture going ahead. So you're not going to stop Villa versus the protesters. It's on.
It went both ways, didn't it? Britain invaded Ireland, and then Ireland sent all the people over to Britain. Oh no, right, but it's okay, isn't it? 'Cause we're all people. Right? Well, it's not been okay in the past. Everyone's been eggy, but now we can all just be people. I find it so weird. Like, I spoke to someone else from Birmingham about this whole issue, and they were on the side of, like, you know, the racist stuff. But it's somebody I've known for a long time that I didn't want to get into an argument with. So instead, I just sort of, like, you know, talked civilly with, and like, they don't have this perception that the Irish people were once immigrants and were treated as such and were treated racially negatively and had to say, like, he said, I said, you know, but you're of Irish descent. Where are you? Yeah, you're there. Well, you're not getting anything out of me. I'm doing this. You're of Irish descent, and Irish people, I told him this, you know, Irish people weren't immigrants and this and that. And he was like, no, Irish people integrated. And I was like, they integrated? I mean, number one, there was bombs going off. So that was bad. No offence to Irish people, you know, but in Birmingham, in my living memory, there was bombs going off. They set up Irish pubs, so they had their own pubs because they had to, because they weren't allowed in the other pubs. Yeah, but they set up Irish pubs, pints of Guinness. You know, you go in and we drink them, and then they have Irish Catholic churches. So like, it's like the equivalent of people from Islam coming here and setting up a mosque, isn't it? You know, and he's like, no, but they're churches. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but they're not churches, are they? Because they're not the church of the country. Like, they came and they put their own Catholic churches in a country that wasn't Catholic. Like, they built their own separate social, like, setup. So they didn't integrate. And I said, but after a generation, and then the next generation married into, you know, and became, like, it was the integration of the, like, English people into the Irish way of life, almost, by marrying some of them, by going into the pubs, by, you know, we moved on from the racist bit where we didn't let black people in, you know, and all that. So, you know, because society moved on a bit, integration happened, didn't it? But like, it wasn't because the Irish people came over and were they were unable to integrate, if anything. And it's basically a mirror for what goes on with Islam, like, and the people of different skin colours that come in. You know, people say, oh, they've got their own mosques and they've got their own things, they don't integrate. And like, it's like, this guy's a descendant of Irish people. And I just, like, people just don't understand it. Like, it's just like they can't get their heads around it. It's like it's like it doesn't matter. Like, and I was saying earlier, it doesn't matter what happened in the past, does it? Because like we're just people now. So like, but we got to that point in the conversation where it was like, it's like the past doesn't really matter, does it? Because you can't learn from it because you don't understand it. So what do you think about now? I just don't like these people. Why don't you like them? Because they've got different skin colour, and I don't like their way of they are and the way I perceive they live. And you're like, well, that's the issue. Then you're racist. Oosh. And the problem that we have, like, it's actually a really difficult and complex problem. This is that there's no point. Like, we've moved way beyond a point where you can win an argument by proving someone's a racist. Like, they say, yes, I'm a racist. The people that I don't like are the sorry, let me just turn off my sounds. The people that we don't like are I've said this before on the stream, and then someone did me a copyright or a bad thing because it's stupid. But they point to the people they don't like, and like, they say, these are the people I don't like. Yes, I'm a racist, they say, and I'm like, well, where do we go from there then? Because it's not a question of like whether it's right or wrong to be a racist. They do feel like that. Like Alan is doing this not because he's got political understanding of Israel and Aston Villa. It's because he's a racist and he wants to take the racist stance. If you're going to say something bad about Muslims, he's going to jump on the bandwagon. So, like, how do you deal with that? Like, that's the issue, really, is how do you deal with, like, inherent, like, inbred racism? And especially with the, like, younger kids, the Kit Kat, she wanted to go out, she was just messing me. She's got a cat flap. So, the racism, like, it's bad in America as well. It's like, the same thing, look at what happened with the Charlie Kirk stuff. Like, there's people who are just like very strongly, aggressively happy that they're racist, and it's become more normalized through online indoctrination. Like, the same radicalization that people were scared that Muslims were going to do to their kids. Muslims are going to radicalize your kids online. That same thing has happened the other way around, and they've been radicalized into the right wing, and they've got some very strange ideas, And it started with 4chan and a meme called Hitler Did Nothing Wrong and a little green frog called Pepe and stuff like that. And it bred into this. So we've got a really weird problem now. And politicians have only just started to understand. Like, the Green Party in our country have got their heads screwed on with it. Like, they realise that we're not fighting a war of winning an ideological argument by proving that you're a bad person for being racist, because that's how they're winning their votes, is by saying we are overtly racist. And if you are too... then join with us. And it turns out there's quite a lot of people who are happy to be overtly racist, and that's the issue that we've got, like, happy racists. I mean, that just sounds like it's so akin to the brewings of the Second World War. Yeah, happy racists. But then, if that were to play out, someone like Farage would take power. Not Farage, though. I mean, Farage hasn't got the aggression and the, like, they haven't got an Adolf. Like, they don't have a Hitler, because they haven't got anyone as capable as him in it by any means anywhere near power. But behind them, like, in bigger ways, like, with the money people that are behind these things, there are some scarier people, not on our local scene, but on the international scene. But it would, in theory, it'd play out. Are we the superpower? But Hitler wasn't in charge of a superpower. They had to rebuild. Do you want butter or guns? We've certainly got the backing of some interesting people. Like, the point would be, we'd end up going to war against... I mean, we've already done that, though. Like, it's like a World War III. We've already been out to their countries, blowing them all up in Syria and Afghanistan and stuff, haven't we? But the equivalent would be, like, the right wing rise to power and utilise that power to invade other countries. But I can't see us invading many other countries, so it would be turned inward, and the fascist power exerted on the people even harder. Like, it's just going to make our lives a fucking 1984 misery if you let people like Reform and the right wing get in. Well, first of all, they'll drain all the money, won't they? That's what they'll do. And then there won't be any money for anything, so it'll become miserable. And it'll just move like that, you know. So the thing is, I can't see that happening, like in real world terms. I think there's enough normal people. I think there's too many good people. And I just don't understand how it... like Hitler motivated people's hatred of the other in order to enact like an expansion campaign. But I don't see us as on an expansion campaign. I just don't, you know. It's a different world now, isn't it? You know, how are you going to invade Poland? What are we going to do? Invade France? It's just stupid, isn't it? Where would we could go south to Africa, I suppose. We could start invading Morocco. Destabilising the Middle East. You know, it's not going to happen, is it? Trump's made that big deal now with Israel for Gaza, and like they think they're going to take that over as a sort of, you know, that's the move at the moment, isn't it? So it'd be about supporting that. It's about supporting Israel. It'd be Israel that were the ones that were doing the World War then, isn't it? It'd be Israel that would expand, and you can see that expansionist Israel, couldn't you? Once they've taken Gaza, once that's become a peace zone, you know, expand the peace zones. For example, we've got this border with Syria, we've got this border with Iran, and it's not very peaceful there, and there's lots of different tribes. So could we extend the peace zones? And like that, you can't argue against extending peace zones, can you? But what they would be is predominantly Jewish-controlled settlements that expand out from Israel, wouldn't they? The way they encroached into Palestine. That would be an interesting thing to see, wouldn't it? Backed by a peacekeeping international peacekeeping militia. What do I worry about Russia? Honestly, I don't think Russia's economically capable of expansionism. Like you just saw what they did with Ukraine, yeah. Like they can bite a little chunk out. Like they got their Crimea and they got their little slit. Like they grew a little, but they can't push and take over the country and like, you know, invade Poland next and stuff. I just don't think they have it in them financially, economically for the war. Like, and they didn't launch any like the amount of heavy weaponry. Like, you know, no. When it kicked off with Ukraine, you could have been scared about nukes and all sorts, but there was nowhere near anything like that coming out, was there? So I don't see that military pushing across Europe and destroying everything. I just don't. Whilst it's all good on the surface, underneath their society is pretty stripped to the bone, isn't it? And it's not that that great economically. Like, it's not an economic superpower like China and America, but they're backed by these other things, and Putin's got big world influence, and it would be China, I guess, is the bigger worry, the economic superpower that we're all dependent on. But Russia plays their games politically by I'm not saying we shouldn't be worried about Russia, because they're very worrying, because they're involved in the politics through espionage, aren't they? So you know, Brexit was a Russian push. Boris Johnson was Russian push. A lot of what goes on now is Russian push. Trump's Russian push, isn't he? So you should, as much as I worry about Trump, I worry about Russia, because I see them as the similar entity. So I'd worry more, rather than Russia expanding across Russia doing a world war and expanding. I'd worry more about America doing things that Russia would want them to do, like America expanding, like this Gaza thing. For the benefit of Israel and Russia, taking Russia's side on little things, and it imbalancing the power balance, and basically America being a sort of ally of Russia. That would be more worrying, which is kind of what's happening, I guess. It's almost like it's beyond borders as well. They talk about this globalism, that is all bad, and the left wing want to do globalism, but actually the right wing want to do a different kind of globalism, which is a sort of capitalist globalism. It's about who's got the most money and who's in control of all this different stuff, and countries matter, and people are presidents of countries and they're from countries and whatever, but they get in a room together, and it's beyond that, isn't it? At the high elite end, it's control without borders. Anyway, Alan's cross about people protesting outside Aston Villa. He said, don't take your kids to Aston Villa. But I would agree, don't take your kids to Aston Villa. It's a load of shit up there. A load of wankers. Take them to Birmingham. Take them up Blues.